Hello everybody and welcome to the table. So it's not too often that at the budget end we see true innovation in the knife industry, but this one right here actually surprised me. So the model we're looking at today, this is the Coast RX357. So let's check out this knife and go over the specs, and we'll see what actually are some pretty unique features on this knife, and one in particular I'm kind of excited about and I think we should see on more knives in the future. But let's check it out. So right here, this is again a budget knife, cost me less than $20 shipped. And features wise, go ahead and look at the handles there. We have this like a tan brown polymer. So these are plastic scales with this kind of stippled texture to it that is very grippy. So during the summer, that would be really great for keeping a nice firm grip on your knife. They feel really good in hand. Handles overall, you can see, are very beefy, very solid. We do have solid steel liners in the knife as well. And you can see, of course, it's a liner lock as well. So there is no skeletonization in the handles, but not too much to complain about considering the sale price I got this at. In terms of blade, check out the blade right here. We have this, again, really extreme Tanto tip right here, half serrated. And just the angles are very, very pronounced, very extreme here. So you can definitely use this to scrape with that flat edge right there if that was something you needed to do. We have a black coating on there. Show side here, you can see it just says the Coast logo. And on the reverse, we have information about the knife. We have a small logo that says 1919 Reserve. And I believe that's the product line for most of Coast's knives, as well as the model number, RX357, even the blade steel. So we can see this knife right here is a 9 CR18 MOV. And again, for a budget knife, not bad at all. And we can also see right on there, designed in Portland, Oregon. So again, if you're not familiar with Coast as a brand, they are based out of Oregon. And so the design comes from there. But again, this is going to be an imported knife. So it is made in China. That is to be expected at this price. So extreme blade shape right here. Back on the handle, we can see the deep carry pocket clip. It's one of these basic loop over designs. And it is a 3-position pocket clip. So you can carry it tip up, left or right, or tip down, right-hand side carry. So we do have the 3 options to do that. So very nice. And you'll probably notice as well that we use Phillips head screws on this pocket clip. So you don't need any fancy Torx bits in order to swap out the clip. So that's a nice feature on there. But overall design and shape are very nice. To me, it looks very aggressive. And that aggressiveness is matched with the way the handle feels. We have some really robust jimping here along the spine, continued into the handle. So you have a really nice place to really bear down and get a good grip on the knife. Feels super solid. Some nice color coordination here. We can see there's kind of like a bullseye ring on the pivot on the show side of the knife. And we do have a single thumb stud for opening purposes. This is an assisted opener. And before you groan and complain about that, this one is actually kind of unique, and I'm going to praise them in a minute for that. But in addition to the assisted opening method, we do have a double lock right here. Coast calls this their max lock, I believe it is, the max lock. And so what it does is it essentially functions as a double lock. So right now, without it on, we can easily open and close the knife on the liner. But once you engage this double lock, you see the little lock icon there. We can close the liner, but the blade will not shut. So it does add kind of an additional safety feature, so to speak. So other knives have used similar systems, so it's nice to have, even if you never use it. But what I really recommend this for is when your knife is in the closed position, you just stick it on the counter at the end of the day. I recommend putting the lock on, because what happens quite often with assisted opening knives, in my experience, when I have them in the closed position, and I'm carrying it around or putting it from the counter to my pocket, I drop the knife. And what often happens, that spring action, once it gets jarred, it's enough to send the blade flying out of the handle. And so that could be dangerous if your feet are anywhere near the pointy tip of this blade. But if you close your knife, you lock it, and then you set it down to put it away, you know that even if you drop this knife, the blade is going to stay in the handle and safe. So I wouldn't recommend necessarily keeping the lock on all the time, but honestly, when it's in storage, it's just a good idea. So if you drop the knife on accident, you're not going to end up opening the knife inadvertently. So that is my personal recommendation there. We can check out the centering on the blade right here. You can see it's kind of dark, hard to see, but it is good. Centering is nice. Lockup with the liner lock is full and complete, so no issues with lockup on this blade. And so there we come to one of the most unique things about this knife. So what's not unique is that it's assisted. We see assisted opening knives all day, every day, especially at the budget level. But they implemented something really cool here. I'm actually quite excited about it, so let's check that out. So very simple assisted opening mechanism. You can see back here, there's a spring along the entire length of the blade. And I know it's black, so it's hard to see in there, but once you push the knife open, that spring moves forward and pushes the blade out of the handle. So common design, been done a million times before, but what makes this version of the spring assist very unique, look at this right here. So let me partially close the blade. Look at that little nub sticking out of the blade right there. So this is basically like a little wheel on bearings right there that spins. So you can see that. And this part of the blade is what remains in contact with this spring back here. So what that does, that little spinning part, is what lets the spring push the knife out. And so what that means is that it's very smooth. Requires very little effort to get that blade out and open. And the reason why this is an improvement on a tried and true design is because most knives that use this same spring system are literally just pushing on the tang of the blade itself, the bottom of the blade. And that tends to be very gritty, especially in a new knife before it breaks in. You just have that raw spring touching the blade and it can just feel rough, it feels cheap. And this knife avoids that issue entirely by incorporating that little wheel on the blade. Super unique. For example, right here we have a knife from CRKT. This one is called the Gung Ho. Also an assisted design with the same type of spring. Check out the back right there. There's the spring in the back, and it just contacts the metal of the actual blade itself. And so it can be really rough. And this particular model was really bad. So you can actually see right here near the tang of the blade, I took it apart. I polished the heck out of this blade right here to get rid of the black coating and to make it as smooth as possible, because where it touched that spring was just absolutely gritty. It felt terrible opening and closing. So I polished the tip of the spring, I polished the tang of the blade right there so that this connection point would be a lot smoother. But out of the box, this knife was a gritty mess to open up. So that's one of the pitfalls with this type of spring design, and it's something that they completely avoided with the 357 here by putting this wheel down here on the blade. Really innovative. Again, I have hundreds of knives, literally hundreds of knives, and I have not seen that implemented before. So if this is not new to you, then tell me which other knives you know of use a similar system. But that alone impresses me. And now again, this knife I got for less than $20 shipped to my door. That may not be their everyday price, but they recently had a sale. This knife was on sale for $19.19 because of course 1919 is their founding date. So that was like a sale for them, plus some coupon codes, shipped for less than 20 bucks, to anywhere in the United States. And at that price, you can't ask for a whole lot much more from a folding pocket knife. And so these are meant to be users, meant to be beaters, but they still took the care to put really cool little features like that on this knife that kind of, push it above and beyond what you expect a budget pocket knife to have. So super impressive. I'm actually really glad they engineered this one out really well. But beyond that, let's really quick, before we're done, check out the specs of the knife. So overall length, this is a big boy, feels very thick in hand. So our blade length right here is going to be pretty much a full 3.5-inch blade. So it's a full-size pocket knife for sure. Overall length is going to be about 8.5 inches long. Thickness, you can see the thickness right there. On almost 3/4 of an inch in thickness. And the weight, it's not super lightweight or anything. It does have the polymer handles, but remember, these steel liners are not skeletonized out. So let's check out the weight on this knife. So we're coming in, yeah, at 5 ounces. So 5-ounce knife. But for its size, really not too bad at all. But again, it impresses me. You know, first impressions on this one are really nice. It just depends on whether you like the really aggressive look and style, but the double lock, the max lock, is always an appreciated bonus. And again, just the way that the knife opens, that really unique assisted opening mechanism is again always appreciated as well, because like I was saying, you don't always see innovation at the extreme budget end like we do here. So I hope this video was enlightening for you. Really nice. Coast is a great company, even though, again, their knives are more for the budget-minded user. Nothing wrong with that. Great market out there for that type of thing. But if you have any questions, drop a comment below. Would love to hear from you. And I hope you all have a knife day. See you later.